Have you ever wanted to play Pokemon, but as a roguelike? I mean, I definitely have. Ever since a teenage me stumbled upon Northernlion's videos on the Binding of Isaac, I've been absolutely in love with the roguelike genre, taking on the hardest challenges these games have to offer. Gold Stake wins in Balatro, Ascension 20 Heart and Slay the Spire. I love pushing these games as far as I personally can. Of course, I've also been a fan of Pokemon since I was a little baby, so when someone makes a game that mashes the two together, it always piques my interest. If you're anything like me, it does for you too. Enter The Pit, a Pokemon ROM hack inspired by the Pit of 100 Trials from Paper Mario. If you don't really know what all that is, honestly I don't really either, but the point is that you're put up against 100 floors of randomized trainers, tasked to clear them all in a row with extremely limited healing resources. 3 Pokemon to start with, 1 new one every 25 floors. Wipe once, and you're sent back to the very beginning to do it all over again. There's also a lot of neat features like Pokemon up to Gen 9 and the ability to change your trainer spread to basically anything you want. I decided to go with my personal favorite Pokemon, Jirachi. The game is a gauntlet of attrition, a balance of careful play and tight resource management. And this is how I conquered it. Okay, to get this part out of the way, I played on the easier Hope mode, rather than the harder Despair mode that you might have seen from other bigger and better Pokemon Challenge YouTubers. Honestly, I just wanted to be able to actually get to the end, because, all those guys lost, and from the little bit of research I did, I found only, one person who had ever beaten Despair mode, so yeah, I'm not doing that. Feel free to leave a comment telling me that I'm a coward, and maybe if you do, I'll make another video of my best attempts at Despair mode. Anyways, I'm done waffling, let's just get started. The pit starts you off with a choice of 9 randomized Pokemon, letting you pick 3 to begin your adventure with. I decided to go with... yeah, I guess Xerneas is pretty good. Mostly because they're the only 2 options left that aren't weak-looking NFEs, I pick up Drampa and Electivire as my next 2 teammates, and with that, we're sent straight into floor 1. Each floor of this game has between 1 and 4 trainers, all with 3 randomized team members with a level equal to the floor you're on. When you beat all the trainers on a floor, you'll be rewarded with 3 items, which could be anything from healing items to health items, ranging from the incredibly useful to the not so much. XP management is everything, because it's key to make sure no one falls behind on levels. To that end, I make sure to spread the kills around between my 3 team members. Every 5 floors, you get a pit stop where you can heal your Pokemon and spend your money on either teaching your Pokemon new moves or other power-ups like TMs or nature-changing mints. Getting a break every 5 floors might sound like a lot, but trust me, this game makes 5 floors feel like an eternity, at least later on. For now though, my team of strong Pokemon runs over the largely unevolved teams of my opponents, and we fly through the floors with no issues, even picking up a very lucky leftovers from floor 18. On the 20th floor pit stop, I build the foundation for my run, purchasing the Draining Kiss TM to teach to my Xerneas. As I've said before, healing items are a very valuable resource in this game, so being able to recover tons of HP with strong Draining Kisses from my carry will save me a ton of them to use on the rest of my team. I'll just say it here, if not for Draining Kiss saving me those items, I absolutely would not have had enough healing items for my entire run, and I probably would have lost at some point. From there, it's straight to floor 25, where we go up against our first pit boss, Sabrina. Pit bosses are slightly stronger trainers placed at every 25th floor as a test before you're granted your next team member. Her lead is a scary Enamorus that Electivire thankfully manages to edge out, and the rest of her team is taken out by Xerneas. Not too bad. As it turns out, Xerneas is pretty good. Who knew? My choices for team members are absolutely stacked, with so many great options that it's hard to even pick one. Politoed can get the very powerful Drizzle, Alolan Muck has an incredible typing, Rotom can change forms in this game with a bot item, and there's even a Diancie. In the end, though, I decide that Muck is my best option here. This game is essentially a randomizer, and Alolan Muck gives me a valuable immunity for pivots and a great resistance profile for whatever might come next. I have my first feint of the run on 428, where Muck somehow fails to 1v1 this Wordier. Not a great first impression. I elect to use one of my reviving items on him since there's a lot of trainers left on the floor, and we continue on. The rest of my fights leave my team quite battered, but with only 1 trainer on 429, I decide not to invest any healing items, hoping that Xerneas can solo whatever's next. Thankfully, nothing on the team can handle my legendary, and I get to the pit stop with a few extra healing items in my pocket. I decide to teach my Electivire Ice Sponge on floor 30, and while fighting through the next floors, Xerneas gets another healing option as well as some much needed coverage for my team in Horn Leech. On floor 36, I get blessed with an extremely lucky second leftovers from a Munchlax NPC. I know I'm not beating the carried by luck allegations here, whatever. It takes good play to take advantage of good luck, you know? Wow. Okay, to be fair, I was playing a little stupidly since I knew I'd get the full heal right after this fight, but still. Definitely not the world's best Nuzlocke here. On the next pit stop, I pick up 2 Protect TMs, which become crucial moves for the rest of the run. Protect is an amazing move here for 2 reasons. 1, because it allows me to get free recovery on my 2 Pokemon with leftovers, and 2, because it's an amazing tool for double battles, which there are a lot of in this game. More on that later. I'm unfortunately forced to use a second revive when I Drift Whip for 440s when it surprises me with a fast Destiny Bond, taking down my Muck. I could probably make it through without him, but I really don't want him to miss out on 4/4's worth of XP. My next purchase on the 445 pit stop is an Adamant Mint for my Electivire, replacing his pretty terrible sassy nature. Unfortunately, he doesn't get a chance to show it off, falling to an unexpectedly strong head smash from some guy's Pig Knight, and forcing me to use another revive. I only have 6 revives in my bag at this point, and I know I'll need them later, but again, having someone fall behind on levels feels really bad, so I decide to bite the bullet. Things keep going without any hitches as usual. I have no switch-ins to a scary Bouffalante on 449, forcing me to sack my Drampa, but it's not a big deal since it's the last fight before I get fully healed, as you do for every pit boss in this game. This time it's Koga, who faces me in a double battle leading with the Genesect. See, I'm not the only one with crazy powerful legendaries, okay? I have no fire-type coverage on my team, so this is bound to be a rough matchup. I protect with Muck while clicking low kick into Aggron, triggering its sturdy as Koga luckily doubles up into my protected slot. I decide that I need to play aggressively the next turn to keep up my tempo, exposing both my sides to damage as I kill off Aggron and knock off Genesect's item. Muck takes a lot of damage here, but hits back hard in return as Koga sends out Shaman. Again, I feel like playing aggressively is my best move, and I don't have any other great options for the Shaman, so I protect with Electivire and send a Hail Mary gunshot into it. Shaman attacks into my protect, and Muck clutches up hugely, dodging the range for X Scissor to kill and hitting the 80% accurate gunshot to take the mythical down in one hit. Muck is at such low HP that I know Koga will focus his attacks on him because he'll see the kills, so I protect with him this turn and try to kill Genesect with a Thunder Punch, which he just barely lives. It's not really worth it to keep Muck alive here, since I get healed after the fight anyways, so I decide to go for a jokey double protect, which Muck actually hits, again evading kills as I finish off the Genesect. Koga's last Crobat is no threat, and I cleanly end off the fight with a second hit boss. This fight is a great demonstration of why Protect is so good in double battles, and I'm really happy with my purchase of those TMs at this point. My next choice of encounters is again stacked, with really great options like a Komodo, Cinderace, Empoleon, and a potential Basculegion. However, there's one that stands out to me the most, this Corvisquire. It just feels a little bit too good here. It gives me a ground immunity for my very prone to earthquakes team, and its steel typing gives me a wealth of resistances and another immunity to poison. I really want a water type at this point, so it hurts to leave him behind here, but I really just can't resist that sweet typing in bulk. I refactor my new teammate's moveset at the pit stop, going for an Iron Defense Body Press set, and we move on. On 451, I run into myself? Anyways, my doppelganger grants me an incredibly useful choice. Haha, get it? Of any choice item. It's really hard to decide here, but I decide to go with Specs, hoping to bolster my Drampa's powers since I know it'll fall behind as time goes on. The next trainer has an innocuous looking Skiddo that actually manages to set up multiple bulk ups on me, and then almost kills my Muck with a double up from its partner Avila. Thankfully, it doesn't cause any fades, but it's honestly shocking how scary NFEs can be in this game. Anyways, while I'm killing the demon, I get the chance to teach Xerneas the crazy setup move Geomancy. Obviously this sounds incredible, and it is, but leaving yourself vulnerable to attacks for 2 turns honestly isn't that great against the gauntlets of trainers still to come. Also at this point, I realize that this game just lets you customize your EV spreads freely for some reason, so I spent some time optimizing those. Even with maxed out special attack though, Drampa... Vex? Dragon Pulse doesn't kill? Drampa's ass, man. Maybe it's just me who sucks though, because I accidentally lock Drampa into Protect against this guy's Darmanitan, forcing me to sack Corviknight as it goes for Belly Drum. Electivire is faster, so it's not a huge deal. I'm close enough to the pit stop at this point that I don't feel like it's worth it to use a revive, and thankfully this doesn't get me wiped as I pick up a useful Toxic Orb and get to 455. I underestimate the damage of this Hydro Pump and Future Sight combo against this dude on 457, and my Electivire goes down. Again, I don't really think it's worth it to revive, but when an unfortunate double up takes out my Muck on the next 4, things are starting to look really iffy here. At this point though, I'm committed to saving these revives, so I take on 459 with a team of 3. Luckily, all the trainers here are free, and I'm rewarded for my greed. I pick up a flamethrower TM for my Grandpa on this pit stop, finally giving me a fire type coverage move, and go on to 461, where a trainer with a terrifying team of Armor Rouge, Haxorus, and Copper leaves my team pretty badly battered right away. It hurts to use so many items here, but with 4 4s left still to go, it's a necessity. The item rewards also help me out by giving me a hugely useful Black Sludge for my Mulk. For my Mulk? At this point, half my team is getting leftovers recovery, which feels really powerful. To make up for my expenditure earlier on, I decide to try and conserve my healing items for the last trainer on 464, hoping my Xerneas and Corviknight can clear the whole fight, which they do manage to. This is the sort of tight resource management this game really demands. If I had run into a problem Pokemon here, it would have been really bad, but I took a risk and it paid off. I stupidly let my Electivire go down again on 467, but I picked up a few revives, so I decided using one is worth it here. The next few floors are no problem, but on 471 I'm introduced to the bane of this run's existence. That's really bad. A surprising amount of Pokemon have Endeavor from here on out, and it's absolutely deadly every single time. Simply missing a kill means an opponent that would otherwise pose no threat can do crippling damage to any one of my team members without warning. Here, it kills my Corviknight, and this little child also manages to get my Electivire. With 4.5 floors to go, I have to use 2 revives here. It definitely hurts. Endeavor gets me a second time on the very next trainer, knocking my Corviknight into the red and forcing another valuable healing item out of me. I'm already tired of this, and trust me, it's not the last time. I stupidly leave my Xerneas in against a Steel type on 474, and my carry gets knocked into the red for, I think, the first time this run. Honestly, I have no excuse for playing like this except that fatigue was really setting in at this point. I'd figured I could beat a run in one sitting, but at this point, I'd been playing for over 5 hours, and my play was definitely slipping because of that. Thankfully, I'm able to get through the rest of the floor and face up against the next pit boss. Agatha faces me in a single battle this time, and it's here that I finally get the chance to flex my run's carry, setting up with Geomancy against her lead Frostmoth and sweeping through her entire team. I'm again blessed with a lot of good choices for my run's final encounter. Charcadet, Sneasler, and Chestnut are all solid Pokemon that would add a lot to my team, and Wailord would patch up my Wildfire weakness. But there's just one choice that seems a little bit too strong to care about all that, so I add another tank to my bulky team in Great Tusk. If I had better options than Wailmer and Clamperl, I probably would have gone straight for Water type, but those ones kind of ass, so I run into a weird streak of crazy legendaries next, with a Glastrier, Lunala, Ho-Oh, and Tapu Bulu all thankfully going down without too many problems. Rotom Wash, though, is a problem Pokemon that forces me into an awkward situation with Corviknight and Great Tusk both at risk. I make the call that both slots will target my low HP Corviknight, and thankfully get it right as Great Tusk kills the Arctozolt on the other side. The legendaries don't end though, with the Zamazenta and Entei coming up next. The Entei in particular knocks both my slots into the red after living an attack from Great Tusk, and I'm forced into an awkward double switch that leaves me ending the fight with half my team in critical condition. My stash of healing items is feeling really tight at this point, and I decide to leave my Drampa hurt, as I'm somewhat close to the next pit stop and he isn't really a core team member at this point. The rest of the trainers aren't a threat, although they do force a lot of healing items out of me. At this point, any Pokemon I run into is doing meaningful damage to me, and since my team is somewhat oriented towards being slow and bulky, the damage can build up, and I'm forced to use healing items after almost every fight. Saving items in the early and mid game is absolutely paying off here, but I'm really worried that I'm going to run out of items at this point. I am able to make it to the next pit stop though, very greatly rewarded for my efforts. Anyways, Floor 81 gives me a very interesting opportunity for a Wonder Trait from this big Zagoon. At this point, Grandpa is just too slow and not quite bulky enough to pull its weight, so I decide to take a gamble, hoping for something to help patch up my weaknesses. Give me anything. Give me something good. Give me something good. You'll give me something good. You'll give me something good. You have to. Ursaluna. Okay. Ursaluna doesn't exactly help with the whole patching weaknesses thing, but I honestly can't really complain too much. At the next pit stop, I can set him up with an ability capsule for Guts, a Toxic Orb to status him, and Facade to turn him into an insanely powerful nuke. For now though, he's not that helpful against this trainer that forces another 2 revives out of me. I only have 4 revives left at this point, and since I know I'd like to have some in case things go very wrong against the final boss, not fainting is my #1 priority going onwards. You're not killing me. Yeah, you are. Oh, I'm so stupid. Okay, look, this was still in the same sitting, so having like 6 hours of playtime behind me was definitely throwing off my head counts. Why did I think that play rough wouldn't kill me? Looking back at this, I feel like a complete idiot, and now I'm down to 3 revives because of it. Thankfully, the next trainer looks non-threatening, but... Oh my god. Are you kidding me, man? I absolutely hate this move. My remaining revives feel so valuable, and I'm forced now to either go on without one of my best team members or bring myself down to only 2. I decide that getting through the next 3 4s without my new Paradox Pokemon is the only move. My Electivire goes down on floor 83, and I'm really worried that things will snowball from here. Thankfully, there's only one non-threatening trainer on floor 84, so I make it to the pit stop and my Ursaluna comes online. There's no time to rest though. The legendaries just keep on coming, but I'm pretty well equipped for each one. Every trainer by this point is brutal though, and by 489 I have 2 dead teammates and an increasingly low cache of healing items. With just a bit of luck, I'm able to make it through. Just to prove I wasn't kidding about the legendaries, the first trainer on 491 throws a Mewtwo, a Hoopa Unbound, and a Pecharunt at me. I honestly don't even know what Pecharunt really is, but Alolan Muck comes up huge against these threats and they're really no issue. What is an issue though, is this guy's Terapagos. I'm really not familiar with what this thing does at all, and it ends up claiming the life of my Corviknight. Corviknight is an essential team member at this point, showing up in pretty much every fight to resist something, so I decide to use one of my last revives on him. It pays off, at least, as I'm able to use him to counter a scary Enamorus. Great Tusk comes in extremely clutch by living this Eternatus' Hyper Beam, but with few healing items left to use, I go up against a scary trainer on 493 who leads with a Flutter Mane. After the partner Elekid, Elekid somehow almost manages to kill my Corviknight with a crit Thunderbolt, I'm definitely scrambling at this point, and I decide switching loses me way too much tempo and I need to kill this Flutter Mane right now. As expected, I'm able to take it out, but I don't have a switch in for Moonblast, so Corviknight has to go down. Again, Corviknight is a core team member, so using one of my now 4 remaining revives isn't a question. The single trainer on 494 is rough, with a Zekrom, Iron Moth, and Baxcalibur, but I thankfully don't wipe and head back up to the final pit stop of the run. I sell a lot of my excess stuff like PP healing items to buy some mints to further optimize my team, and teach Iron Head to my Corviknight, but these are the last upgrades I'll be getting for the rest of my run. My Ursaluna falls at 496, and I'm left with a really tough choice. Do I want to use one of my 3 remaining revives here? In the end, since I know there's only 5 floors left to go, I decide to go for it. I'm rewarded again for my decision making, as my bear is able to take out a Zapdos that would have been tricky for anyone else, but I make a wrong prediction against the same trainer's Porygon Z, and Electivire goes down. Electivire is the weakest member of my team by a pretty wide margin at this point, so I decide to conserve the revives. I'm able to get through the rest of my floors without him, and it's just me and the final pit boss. 8 hours of gameplay in total has led up to this. My tight resource management has left me with a pretty decent number of heals and revives to use against the final boss, but I have no idea what I'm going to be up against. I approach the final pyramid and see Giovanni staring back at me, and prepare for my grueling final test. I lead with my Electivire first, hoping to get some quick kills for tempo since I know he won't really be able to switch in later because he's so frail, and he's able to deal with Giovanni's lead Latios with a couple ice punches. Reshiram is up next, and I protect to scout what it's going for. It goes for Outrage, and I see my opportunity, swamping into my immunity, clicking the overpowered setup move, and yeah, I sweep through the rest of his team. Okay, fine. The final boss fight was really anticlimactic, sure, but it's not about the destination, you know? It's about the journey. All the floors I had to get through, all with nothing but my insanely powerful legendary with an insane typing, insanely powerful Paradox Pokemon, 2 Pokemon with incredible defensive typings and stats, Guts Ursaluna. Yeah, I kinda got carried, huh?